copy. Please hold. The 500 gets called back to Times Square.
Time for holding.
It's the 502 train calling back at Times Square.
500 Times Square, that is a copy. Call back 72nd.
That's copy.
501, you may disregard the hold. Your next callback is 50th Street.
Time for 50th Street.
So we're calling back at Chambers.
507 at Chambers, that is a copy. I'm going to hold you for a minute because of one just recently departed Chambers in front of you.
This is a 543-1 South Ferry to 242nd radio check.
543 radio check loud and clear.
10-4.
Clark Street.
518 to Clark, that is a copy. Proceed with caution to Wall Street.
Copy.
512 is
507
at Park Place.
Street.
Okay, 537 at Canal Street. Proceed to Christopher.
Copy.
507 holding at Chambers. Proceed to Canal Street.
This is a 543-1 South Ferry to 242nd requesting line about a South Ferry.
543, your lineup is granted. Your next callback to Chambers.
10-4.
513, 3 train calling at Wall Street.
512 is at
515 Wall Street. Proceed to Park Place. 512 Park Place. Proceed to Chambers.
This is 519-3 Hoyt.
519 Hoyt, that is a copy. Your next callback is Clark Street.
Copy, Clark.
525 through train Franklin Avenue, that is a copy. Your next callback is Atlantic Avenue, Barclays Center.
We're at 50th Street, 7th Avenue.
501 3 train, 50th has a copy, and that's callback 66th Street, Lincoln Center.
Time for 66th Street, Lincoln Center.
512 is at Chambers.
512 Chambers, that is a copy. Your next callback is your next stop, Franklin Street.
The next stop is Courtland Street.
Park Place 513.
513 Park Place has a copy. Proceed to your next stop, Chambers.
What?
531 Nostrum, proceed to your next stop, Franklin Avenue.
507 calling back for where am I?
Canal.
That's the 537 at Christopher Street.
537 Christopher, that is a copy. Please hold the 506 yet call back at 14th Street. 506 14th, call back at Times Square 42nd.
Copy.
537 disregard the hold of Christopher. Proceed, your next callback is 23rd Street.
507 Canal Street.
07 Canal, that is a copy. Your next callback is Christopher.
Copy.
518 Wall Street, that is a copy. Your next callback is Park Place.
Franklin Street for the 512.
512 Franklin has a copy. Your next callback is Houston.
That's copy.
This is 519-3 calling back to Clark.
Chambers Street, 513.
519-3 at Clark, you may proceed. Call back at Wall Street. 513 Chambers, that is a copy. Call back at your next stop, Franklin Street.
Hello. Soliciting money on the subway is illegal. Instead, please donate to a New York City shelter or charity. Thank you.
This is the 502 train calling back at 76.
502, 72nd as a copy. Your next callback's 96th Street.
Got it.
Rail control, this is the 5013 train, new lots of 148. We're at 66th Street, Lincoln Center.
50166 as a copy. Your next callback's 86.
Time for 86th Street, 7th Avenue.
Franklin Street.
531-3 Franklin Avenue. Your next callback is Bergen Street. The 513 at Franklin Street. Your next callback is your next stop, Canal Street.
543 1 South Area to 242nd, calling back at Chambers Street.
543 at Chambers. That is a copy. Your next callback is Franklin. Your next stop.
Time for.
518 Park Place. That is a copy. Your next callback is your next stop, Chambers. Christopher, that is a copy. Your next callback is 18th Street. 525 Linkbar Place, that is a copy. Your next callback is Clark Street.
This property that's one train ready to go at South Ferry.
49 out of South Ferry is a copy. Your next callback is Chambers.
Yeah.
This 519-3 going back at Wall.
519 Wall Street, that is a copy. Your next callback is Park Place.
543 1 South Ferry to 242nd, calling back at Franklin Street.
543 Franklin, that is a copy. Your next callback is next stop, Canal Street.
Time for.
512 is at Houston.
Alright, 512 at Houston. Your next callback's 14. 537 23rd. Your next callback's 34th Street, Penn Station.
513 Canal Street.
13 Canal. Your next callback's Christopher. 518 2 at Chambers. That is a copy. Your next callback is your next stop, Franklin Street.
Consider 543 1 South Ferry to 242nd, calling back at Canal Street.
543 Canal, that is a copy. I'm going to hold you for 30 seconds because you are right behind 513 free train.
Time for.
Rail control, this is the 5013 train, new lots to 148, calling back at 86th Street, 7th Avenue.
501-86, that is a copy. I'm going to hold you for a minute because the 500 you have to call back at 96.
Time for holding.
Park Place for the 519-3.
519 Park Place, proceed to your next stop, Chambers.
507 calling back at 18th Street.
507 18th, that is a copy. Your next callback is 28th Street.
Copy.
5062 is at Times Square 42nd.
506 Times Square, that is a copy. Your next callback is 72nd Street.
Copy.
518 2 train Franklin.
518-2 Franklin, that is a copy. Please hold. There is a train in front of you holding. 543 at Canal. Proceed to your next stop, Houston.
Time for.
500 calling back at
7 at Third Street. Okay, 537 34th Street, Penn Station. Your next callback is 59th Street, Columbus Circle. 596. Proceed to your next stop, Central Park North. 501 holding at 86. Proceed to 96.
5 96th Street, 7th Ave.
518 holding at Franklin. 518 at Franklin. Proceed to Canal Street. 519 Chambers. Please hold. 513 Christopher. Proceed to your next stop, 14th Street.
531 3 trains.
512 14th Street. Proceed to 23rd Street. 31 at Bergen. Proceed to Borough Hall. Okay, the 519 holding at Chambers, you may proceed. Call back. Frank.
Copy, Frank.
So 543, 1 South Ferry to 242nd, calling back at Houston Street.
43 Houston, proceed to your next stop, Christopher.
Time for.
549 Chambers Street.
Okay, the 507 at 28. Your next callback is Times Square. The 549 at Chambers, please hold. A 3 train just crossed the local track in front of you.
What was the callback?
512, your callback was 34th Street, Penn Station.
East Street.
Someone else calling that?
14th Street, 513.
513, please hold. 518-2 Canal Street, that is a copy. Proceed to your next stop, Houston.
519 3 is actually.
519 Franklin, that is a copy. Proceed to your next stop, Canal.
Rail control, this is the 5013 train. No lots of being correct. 96th Street, 7th Avenue, pushing for Lennox.
50196, that is a copy. Please hold. The 500 gets a call back at 110th.
10-4, hold him.
549 at Chambers. Proceed to your next stop, Franklin.
So 543, 1 South Ferry to 242nd, calling back at Christopher Street, Sheridan Square.
543 at Christopher, that is a copy. Proceed with caution to 14th Street.
Time
513 holding at 14th Street. Your next call back is 23rd Street. 555, 1 train, are you ready to depart South Ferry?
Yes.
55, that is a copy. Your next callback is Chambers.
This is the 502 train calling back at 110.
500, 110th, that is a copy. Your next callback is 135th. 501, proceed to 110th.
10-4 with Central Park North, 110.
518-2 at Houston, that is a copy. Proceed to your next stop, Christopher.
49 Canal.
49 Franklin or Canal? Callback was Franklin.
Oh, wait. I'm not Franklin. No, goddamn it. Canal.
Okay, 549, yeah, your callback was Franklin, not Canal.
543, 1 South Ferry to 242nd, calling back at 14th Street.
Give me a second. 519 at Canal Street. Your next callback is your next stop, Houston.
Copy.
513 and 543 rather, 14th Street. Your next callback is 18th Street. Your next stop.
Time for.
530 calling back at Times Square.
507 Times Square, 42nd. Your next callback is 50th Street. Your next stop.
28 23rd Street for the 13.5 or 13.3.
513-3, 23rd, that is a copy. Please hold, waiting for the 512 to call back.
Do I have to see the plug for
Oh, everyone's 12-1 for a second. Is that 549?
permission to park right?
Okay, 549, good. You were at Franklin. You can depart. Your next call back is Canal Street. 537, 59th Street, Columbus Circle. Your next call back is 66th Street, Lincoln Center. Next stop.
Dropping 66th Street.
518-2, Christopher. That is a copy. Proceed to 14th.
This is the 543 1 South Fair to 242nd, calling back at 18th Street.
543, 18th. Proceed to 23rd. The 513 at 23rd, 28th.
512 is at 34th.
512, 34th Street, Penn Station. That is a copy. Your next callback is 50th Street.
This is 593.
519 at Houston. That is a copy. Proceed to your next stop. Christopher.
507 50th Street.
0750 if your next callback is 59th Street, Columbus Circle.
Copy.
5062 is at 72nd.
506 72nd. That is a copy. Your next callback is 96th Street.
Rail Control, this is the 5013 train, new lots to 148. We're at Central Park North, 110th Street.
501 110th. That is a copy. Your next callback is 125th Street.
10 for 125, Lenox.
This is the
14th
566th Street.
All right, 537 66. Your next callback is 79th Street.
This is the 543.
Hold on, one at a time, please. 525 at Clark Street. Your next callback is Wall Street. Your next stop.
This is the 543 1 South Fair to 242nd, callback at 23rd Street.
543 23rd. That is a copy. Please hold. The 513 gets called back at 28.
10-4.
All right, 549. You are at Canal Street. Proceed to Houston.
The 531-3 trains at Borough Hall.
31 Borough Hall. Proceed to your next stop, Clark Street. 513 28th Street. Your next callback is Times Square 42nd.
507 Columbus Circle.
507 Columbus Circle as a copy. Your next callback is 72nd.
This is the 502 train calling back on 135th Street, Punch for the Bronx.
502 135th. That is a copy. Proceed. Your next callback is 149 Grand Concourse.
That's a copy.
518 train 14th Street.
518-2 at 14th. That is a copy. Your next callback is 23rd Street.
Can a 543 1 South Fair to 242nd leave 23rd?
Yes, 5. All right, 543. You may proceed. Call back 34th Street, Penn Station.
10-4.
537, 72nd. Your next callback is 86.
55 is at Chambers.
555 Chambers. You may proceed. Your next callback is Canal Street. 600. You may depart South Ferry. Your next callback is Chambers.
This is 519 Christopher.
519 Christopher. Proceed to 14th.
My name is
49 at Houston.
49 Houston. Proceed to Christopher.
Rail Control, this is the 5013 train, new lots to 148. We're at 125th Street, Lenox.
501 as a copy of full line to your last stop, Harlem 148. Call back there.
10 for Harlem 148. We'll push the lineup.
531-3 trains at Clark Street.
531 Clark Street. That is a copy. Proceed with caution through the tubes. Your next callback is Wood Street.
12 is at 50th.
512 50th. Your next callback is 66th Street, Lincoln Center. Is that a copy for 66 512?
It's 10-4.
$518 2 train 23rd. Your next callback is 28.
This is the 502 train calling back at 149 Grand Concourse.
502 149 Grand Concourse. That is a copy. Your next callback is Intervale Avenue.
2nd Street for the 13.
513, 42nd, that is a copy. Your next callback to your next stop, 50.
543, 1 South Ferry to 242nd, calling back at 34th Street, Penn Station.
513, 34th, that is a copy. Your next callback to your next stop, Times Square, 42nd.
10-4.
507, calling back 72nd Street. Sorry.
525 Wall Street, your next callback is Chambers. 507 at 72nd, your next callback is 79th Street, your next stop.
549 Christopher.
549 Christopher, your next callback is your next stop, 14th Street. 506 96, that is a copy, your next callback is
55 is at Canal.
55 Canal Street, that is a copy, your next callback is your next stop, Houston.
Copy.
518 28th, that is a copy, your next callback is your next stop, 34th Street, Penn Station.
537
537 86, that is a copy, your next callback is your next stop, 96.
50th Street for the 13th return.
13350, if that is a copy, your next callback is 66th Street, Lincoln Center.
That's a copy.
549, hold at your current location and waiting for a callback from the 519.
Sorry, so I reloaded back. Don't worry.
Where are you at? 519, proceed to 28.
This is a 543, 1 South Ferry to 242nd, calling back at Times Square, 42nd Street.
43 Times Square, 42nd, that is a copy. Your next callback is 59th Street, Columbus Circle.
10-4.
507, calling back 79th.
Okay, hold on. 549, hold at your current location. The 519 just departed a few seconds in front of you. The 507. Repeat your callback, 507.
79th Street, Broadway.
That's a copy, 507. Next callback to next stop, 86th Street. 1266, your next callback is 72nd, your next stop. 513 Wall Street, your next callback is Park Place.
Chambers are calling back 59 Columbus.
Certainly, your next callback is 66, 513.
6 o'clock, Chambers.
537 at 96th Street.
537, 96, Punch for Broadway, your next callback is 116 Columbia University.
Houston for the 55.
600 at Chambers. Hold on, 600 at Chambers, your next callback is Houston. 82 at 34th says copy. Your next callback is your next stop, Times Square.
What was 519 callback?
519 28th Street.
5062 train is at 110.
Hold on, 549 through the 549 1 train. You may depart 14th Street. Your next callback is 23rd Street.
72nd.
72nd 512. Your next callback is your next stop, 79th.
506, calling back 96. I'm 86, sorry.
506 86. Proceed to 96 507.
56th Street, Lincoln Center for the 13th Street.
513. Proceed to 72nd.
Yeah.
Houston
All
for
right,
the 55.
506. You may proceed to 506. Proceed to 135th.
549. Sure, 23rd and 28th.
549. Your next callback is 23rd. 525. Please hold the Chambers. There is a train that crossed in front of you.
Houston for the 55.
55 at Houston. That is a copy. Your next callback is Christopher.
Copy.
518 at 42nd. Your next callback is 59th Street, Columbus Circle.
Rail Control, this is the 501 train logs 148 is terminated at the Harlem Road 28 Street, Lenox Terminal.
501, that is a copy. Discharge your passengers, terminate your train. Thank you for your service. Have a good evening.
Time for you too.
530. On 3 trains at Park Place.
31 Park Place, please hold. There is a 3 train rather, at the station in front of you of Chambers. Holding.
72nd Street for the 13-3 train.
72nd, 513 as a copy. Next call back to your next stop, 79th Street.
96, 507, 3.
507, what can you call back?
96.
That is a copy. Proceed on. Your next callback is Central Park North.
This is the 543 1 South Ferry to 242nd callback at 59th Street, Columbus Circle.
543, that is a copy. Your next callback's your next stop, 66.
Time for.
This is the 512 departing 79th Street.
512 79th, that is a copy. Your next callback is 86.
Copy.
49 at 23rd.
549 at 23rd. Your next callback is your next stop, 28th Street.
Christopher for the
519
55.
28th. Your next callback is your next stop, 34th Street, Penn Station. 519.
This is the 542.
All right, 500 enter. The next callback's East 180th. 525, you may proceed. Your next callback is Canal Street. 531, you may proceed. Your next callback's Chambers.
6 o'clock, Houston.
6 o'clock, Houston as a copy. Proceed to your next stop, Christopher. 555, Christopher. Proceed to 14.
Copy.
79th Street for the 13-3 train.
Thanks for the 512.
1379, your next callback is 86.
543 1 South Ferry to 242nd callback at 66th Street, Lincoln Center.
Repeat 512.
543.
Is at 86.
512, 86, proceed to 96. 543, Lincoln Center. 543, go to 72nd.
Time for.
537, 116th, your next callback is 137 City College.
49 at 28th.
49, 28th Street, that is a copy. Your next callback is 34th Street, Penn Station.
With caution.
With caution, yes.
Yeah.
519. Did you try to call back?
I was trying to call back at Penn Station.
There's a cop, proceed to Times Square. 31 Chambers to copy. I'm going to hold you for 30 seconds because the 25 just crossed in front of you.
6 o'clock, Christopher.
519 Columbus Circle, proceed to 66th Street. 600 at Christopher. I'm going to hold you there because the 555 you have to call back at 14.
14th Street for the 555.
Okay, 555, 14th. Your next callback is 23rd.
Copy.
86th Street for the 13-3.
All right, 600. Your next callback is 18th Street.
507 calling back Central Park North one time.
Repeat your callback, 513.
507.
86, proceed to 96.
96.
507 calling back.
512, 90. Hold on, 512, 96. Proceed to 110th. The 507 at 110th. Your next callback is 135th.
543 1 South Ferry to 242nd calling back at 72nd Street.
543, 72nd. Proceed to 79th.
Time for.
549.
Hold on, okay. 525 at Canal Street. Your next callback is Christopher. 531 holding at Chambers. Your next callback is Houston. 549 34th Street, Penn Station. Please hold because you're on 519.
519 is at Times Square.
519 Times Square. Proceed to 59th Street, Columbus Circle. 518 Lincoln Center. 77. Alright, 549 at 34th Street. Your next callback's 50. 135th. May proceeding on your next callback's 149 Grand Concourse.
96th Street, 13-3 train.
13-3 train 96, that is a copy. Please hold the 512s heading to 110th in front of you.
543-1 South Area to 242nd, calling back at 79th Street.
4379th, proceed to 86.
10-4.
23rd for the 55.
55, 23rd is a copy. Your next callback's 34th Street, Penn Station.
Copy that.
6 o'clock, 18.
618. Next callback's 28th.
Copy.
518, 72nd, proceed to 79th. 513 to 96, and you proceed with caution. Let me know when you get to 110th.
I-12 is at 110.
12, 110th as a copy. Next callback's 125th.
That's a copy.
513, you may resume normal speed to 110th.
543-1 South Area to 242nd, calling back at 86th Street.
43, that is a copy. Proceed to your next stop, 96.
10-4.
This is the 537 and 137.
537, 137th, that is a copy. You call back at 181st. 525 Christopher Street, that is a copy. Your next callback is 18th Street. 518, 279th proceeds to 86.
This is the 519
519 Columbus Circle, that is a copy. Proceeds to 72nd.
Penn Station for the 55.
55 Penn Station, that is a copy. Your next callback is your next stop, Times Square.
Copy.
549 50th Street.
On the 555, your next callback's Times Square.
Copy that.
4950, if that is a copy. Your next callback is 66th Street, Lincoln Center.
Calling back at 135.
6 o'clock.
525, your next callback is 18th Street, 18525. 600 at 28th, your next callback is your next stop, 34th Street, Penn Station. 507, 135th, you may proceed to your last stop, Harlem 148. Call back there.
521 3 trains entering Houston.
531 at Houston has a copy. Your next callback is 14th Street.
543-1 South Ferry to 242nd, calling back at 96th Street.
54396, that's a copy. Punt for Broadway. Your next callback's 137th Street, City College.
10-4.
This is the 502 train calling back at East 180. 20 for White Rain
502 East 180, if that is a copy. Your next callback is Gun Hill Road.
That's a copy.
51886 proceeds at 96.
110th Street,
513 110th, that is a copy. Your next callback is 125th Street.
55 is at Times Square.
6 o'clock.
555 Times Square. Your next call. 555 Times Square. Your next callback is 59th Street, Columbus Circle.
Copy.
600 34th Street, Penn Station. Your next callback is 50th Street.
Copy.
12 is at 125.
12 125th. Your next callback is your next stop, 135th. $525, how long do you need to go AFK? Because if it's over 5 minutes, just go out of service. Okay, then that's fine.
506 is at 149 Grand Concourse.
506 149 Grand Concourse, that is a copy. Your next callback is Intervale Avenue.
This is 519.3, calling back at 77.
519 72nd, that is a copy. Your next callback is 86th Street.
549 calling in at 66.
549 66, that is a copy. Your next callback is 79th Street. 518 96, that is a copy. Your next callback is Central Park North, 110.
Next speed for the 512.
135th, that is a copy. You may punch for the Bronx. Your next callback is 149 Grand Concourse. 531 14th, that is a copy. Your next callback is 28th Street.
125th Street for the 13-3 train.
13 through train 125th, that is a copy. You have the line up to Harlem 148, call back there.
That's a copy.
So, call it back at Lennox Terminal.
507 Harlem 148, that is a copy. Discharge your passengers. Terminate your train. Thanks for your service. Have a good evening.
Have a good one.
Columbus Circle for the 55.
55 Columbus Circle, that is a copy. Your next callback is 72nd Street.
Copy.
It's o'clock 50th.
650th, that is a copy. Your next callback is 66th Street, Lincoln Center.
Five
512 calling back at 149th Street Grand Concourse.
Alright, 512 149 Grand Concourse, that is a copy. Your next callback is Jackson Avenue. 519, repeat.
At
537 181st is a copy. Next callback is 215th Street. Repeat, 519. 519 proceed to 96.
549 is at
49 79 proceed to 86. $525, that is fine. For 34th, your next callback is 59th Street, Columbus Circle. Be 531 at 28th Street. Your next callback is Times Square 42nd. That is a copy. Your next callback is 135th Street.
72nd for the 555.
555, 72nd, that is a copy. Your next callback is your next stop, 79th Street.
Copy.
It's o'clock at 66.
666, proceed to your next stop, 72nd. right, 549 86th Street. That is a copy. Hold there for a minute until the 519 gets to 96.
That's a copy.
What was that?
519
519.96. That is a copy. Your next callback is 110th.
After 110.
549. You may proceed to 96.
Calling back at 70. Calling back at 79.
Station clock 77.
79 for the 555. Your next callback is 86.
Copy.
672nd. Proceed to 79. 525 through train, your callback is 59th Street, Columbus Circle.
It's the 513 3 train from New Lots Avenue to 148th Street, Lenox Terminal, terminating at 148th Street.
That's a copy. 513 for Harlem 148. Discharge your passengers. Terminate your train. Thank you for your service. Have a good evening.
This is the 502 train calling back at Gun Hill.
500 Gun Hill. That is a copy. You have full line up to Wakefield. Call back there.
Let's go.
512 is at Jackson Avenue.
All right, 531 Times Square. That is a copy. Your next callback is your next stop, 50th Street.
543.
512 Jackson Avenue. Your next callback is Intervale Avenue.
543 1 South Everett to 242nd. Calling back at 137th Street, City College.
543 137. That is a copy. Your next callback is 181st.
10-4.
55 is at 86.
5586. That is a copy. Proceed with caution to your next stop, 96.
6 o'clock 79.
549 96. That is a copy. Your next callback is 137th Street, City College. 506 Intervale. Your next callback is Freeman. 79, proceed to 86. $518 to 135th. That is a cop punt for the Bronx. Your next callback is 149 Grand Concourse. 110, 519. That's a copy. Your next callback's 135th Street.
531. 3 trains at 50th.
531 50th. That is a copy. Please hold the 525s. You have to call back at 59th.
This is the 537 at 215th Street.
537 215. That is a copy of full line to Van Courtland Park. Call back there.
555 and 96.
555 96. That is a copy. Your next callback is 125th Street.
Copy that.
525 Columbus Circle. That is a copy. Your next callback is 72nd. The 531 holding at 50th. Your next callback is 66th Street, Lincoln Center.
6 o'clock 86.
680 as a copy. May proceed to your next stop, 96.
Ladies and gentlemen, protect your person.
512 Intervale, that is a copy. Your next callback is Freeman.
10-4.
506 Freeman, your next callback is East 180th. Team 149 Grand Concourse as a copy. Your next callback is Intervale Avenue.
Click clock 96.
696, that is a copy. Your next callback is 110th Street Cathedral Parkway.
Copy.
531 3 trains at 66 Lincoln.
31 66th Street Lincoln Center, that is a copy. Your next callback is 86th Street. 525, if you didn't see your callback's 96.
This is a 519.
519 135th, that is a copy. Call back at your last stop, Harlem 148.
Cop 4148.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Cathedral Parkway, 6 o'clock.
Okay, the 600 at Cathedral Parkway, your next callback's 125th. The 512 at Freeman, your next callback is West Farm Square.
.43, 1 South Air to 242nd, calling back at 181.
543 181st, your next callback is 215th.
10-4.
549 137 City College, your next callback is 181st. 537 Van Courtland, that is a copy. Discharge your passengers, terminate your train. Thank you for your service, have a good evening.
502 train terminated.
2 Wakefield, that is a copy. Discharge your passengers, terminate your train. Thank you for your service, have a good evening.
125.
125 555, your next callback is 168th Street.
Copy.
196 East 180th, that is a copy. Punch for White Plains. The next callback is Gun Hill Road.
Bound 110. The next stop is 146.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Proceed to your next stop at 96. 525, 96, proceed to 110.
That's Farm Square for the 512.
512 West Farm Square, there's a cop. Proceed to your next stop, East 180th.
There's a quad at 125th.
Alright, 519 Terminator Harlem 148, that is a copy. Discharge your passengers. Terminate your train, thank you for your service, have a good evening. 600, 125th, your next callback is 157th Street.
This is a northbound.
18-2 train.
The next stop is 167th Street.
518 2 train, that is a copy for Intervale. Your next callback is East 180th. Yeah, 519, terminate your train, discharge your passengers. Thank you for your service, have a good evening.
Copy, sorry, I was talking about it.
Five 3196, that is a cop. I'm going to hold you for a minute because the 525 in front of you heading to 110th. East 180th. 512 East 180th, that is a copy. Punch for White Plains. Your next callback is Pelham Parkway.
Train. The next stop is 168th Street.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Okay, 531, you may proceed on. Proceed to 110th. Call back there. 525, your next callback was 110th. Okay, 543, 215 via full line to Van Courtland Park, call back there.
10-4.
549, 181st, we have callbacks 215.
168 for the 555.
555, 168th, that is a copy. Your next callback is Dykeman.
Copy.
Next callback's 135th.
6 o'clock at 157.
6 o'clock, 157, that is a copy. Your next callback is 191st Street.
Copy.
$512 at Pelham Parkway.
512 Pelham Parkway is a copy. Your next callback is Gun Hill Road. 531 110th, that is a copy, and the callback is 125th. A full line to Wakefield 241st, call back there. (518-2 East 180th) as a copy. The White Plains, your next callback is Gun Hill Road.
Calling back at Dykeman Street.
555 Dykeman, that is a copy. Your next callback is 215.
Copy.
Forty-nine 215th, that is a copy. Callback 238th. Copy. Copy. Proceed to your next stop, 135th.
(543-1) South Heritage 242nd, terminated at 242nd.
43 Van Courtland Park 242nd, that is a copy. Discharge your passengers, terminate your train. Thank you for your service. Have a good evening.
Sure.
6 o'clock at 191st.
600 191st, that is a copy. Your next callback is 207th Street.
Copy.